As a time-served trade, I understand why it's so important having the right tool for the job. This can be a big difference in saving time and money. But with so many brands available and so many different versions of the same type of drill, how do you know which one's the right one for you? That's why today we're giving you the ultimate guide to drills. So we'll show you their unique features, demonstrate how they work, and help you decide which is right for you and your project. Starting with the type of drills, today we broke it down to 5 different categories. You could argue, say there's more, but for this guide, we're going to try and keep it as simple as possible and focus on the tools you'll use on site or around the home doing your DIY. As you can see, we've got a few on the table. We're not comparing brands today, we're just focusing on functionality and application. We will be putting brands head to head in separate videos, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss them. So let's get stuck in and take a look at some drills. So the first type of drill we're going to start off with is a drill. We've got our typical dual function drill. Again, forget the branding, we're not focusing on that. That is going to be in future videos. This is your standard drill. There's 4 main features to your standard drill. You've got your gears, your clutch, your drill function, and your screw function. Okay, first of all, we'll start off with the drill function. So to put it into drill mode, you'll select the icon as shown on the top there. You've got a little drill bit, that's now in drill function. All that's for is for allowing the drill to rotate at certain speeds, which is set by your gears. Drill into wall, pull back out. Really simple. On this drill, we've only got 2 gears, and you can adjust it by just slipping the tab. So at the moment there, we've got number 2, that's second gear, we've got first gear. Let's listen to those gears. Nice steady rotation, not overly fast. Slip it into number 2. And you might not hear it very well, but it is spinning faster. So one's more speed and one's more torque. So now moving on, we'll look at the clutch system. So this is a feature you may use when you're screwing fixings into walls, putting your IKEA furniture together, and you might not want it to put all the torque through the screws because it might rip through the panels. An added feature with this particular drill is you can slip the end off and you've got a little screwdriver fitting. If you look around the edge of this drill, you'll see it's got numbers all around the edges, and there are different settings for how much torque is put through the screw fixing on that machine. If you are fixing into panels and you want it on a lower resistance, you will screw into the panel and then you'll hear a slipping sound. That isn't the machine falling apart inside. All that is the gears inside just slipping, stopping it, pushing any more torque through into the fixing and driving through the cabinet. So that's your standard features with a standard drill. So you've got gears, clutch, drill, and drive. Let's move on and look at the combi. We have 2 here, different brands, but look very, very similar in the anatomy. They both do the same jobs, and they both have the same functions. So just like the drills we just looked at, these still have the gears, the clutch, the drill, the drive functions, but they also have the additional feature of a hammer drill. As you can see, the same as a standard drill, they've got the clutch, they've got the gears, they've got the drill function, the drive function, but with the additional feature of the hammer function. So what this means is when we're drilling, we can put it into a hammer mode, which is basically applying pressure as you're drilling. So we'd use the hammer feature when drilling into masonry because instead of it just rotating, it's actually giving it a little bit of a chisel away as it's going in, which means you'll drill through easier and clearer. But be sure to use the correct type of drill bits. The masonry bits have a little bit of a wedge shape at the top, and that allows it to chisel in and break away as it's rotating. So there is a notable difference when you're using the drill. So on the edge of the drill, you've got like a bit of a slip collar, so you can hold that and you can spin away. But if you listen, that's the hammer. If I go back to standard drill, there's no hammer function. It's not hammering into that fitting. Not to be confused with the clutch either. The clutch is designed to allow it to slip, whereas the hammer feature is not. It's designed to drive it through. So make sure you choose the right one. These are the typical combi drills that you think about. Big, bulky. This one is also a combi drill that might be used in tighter spaces. With the hammer function, nice and small, get into the tight space, really handy. So same functions, just different shapes and sizes. So next, let's take a look at impact drivers. Here is your typical impact driver. Obviously against the combi, the main differences are the way they apply force. As mentioned before, the combi, using the hammer function, is directional force, it's driving that fitting into the wall, drilling through, whereas the impact is rotational force. And like drilling a hole, you're going to face more friction pushing the screw in. So if you can imagine doing it by hand, the further in you get, the harder it is to screw in. So it's rotating that fixing in and tying it up with torque. So there's your main difference between the two. So next we're going to move on to the SDS, the big boy toy. Let's get stuck in and look at the SDS. This tool is made for your drilling. It's made for hammer drilling. It's made for chiseling. It's going to cope with all those big jobs you need to do. You look at the SDS and you compare it to the combi, you can see this is the big brother. Unlike the combi, the SDS has a dedicated hammer-only function. So it enables you to use unique fittings like chisels. So the chisel in and hammer function only, it's just driving that chisel forward. This is a wider range of bigger tools like core drill bits, breaker bits, all based around the higher torque and the hammer function. Now let's move on to the core drill, a designated rig solely for coring. Now, we do know that with the SDS, we can do coring, but only up to a certain size. It's a great machine, but there are limitations. You can imagine it looking like our SDS, but it doesn't have a hammer function. It's mounted into a frame, or rig as it's better known called. Now, when we're using these tools, it is just for coring holes. You're going to need a dedicated water supply. You need higher power. There's more resistance. There's more power needed for the motors in it. Now, we're not talking small core holes. We're talking big stuff. This is a commercial tool that means business. We looked at the combi, the little brother. We looked at the big brother being the SDS. Now this is the daddy when it comes to doing your core holes. All the drills on the table here are all battery powered. Now, batteries come in all shapes and sizes. They come in all different voltages and amperages. Here's a couple of examples of different sizes for a small drill and for a large drill. Now, we said about different amperages and voltages. Voltage is your power and your ampage is your runtime. Let's move on to another power source you're also familiar with, the household plug. Here we have the 230 household plug. Again, the only difference is the fact that these run off batteries and you'll probably find exactly the same body with a household plug on it. There are different pros and cons with having the household plug. One, you don't have to go out and buy a range of batteries, chargers, or generators for transformers, which we'll come across in a minute. The other thing is that you might have trailing cables, so you could slip, trip or fall over cables. You've also got to worry about the condition of the cables as well, so make sure they're well maintained. And you may have extension leads trailing around buildings. Not ideal. So this is where a trade might say, I want a battery, and the homeowner might say, actually, I don't use it very often, household plug's fine for me. Also, you've got constant power. So this is the mains powered. Now we're going to go and look at the 110 volt, typically known as the yellow plug. You will see these more traditionally used on sites. They are starting to phase them out a little bit because of obviously the trailing cables, but these are safer for use on site. The plug's designed to hold any moisture, and it's also a lower voltage and traditionally used with either a transformer or a generator. You can see with the different types of the plugs, there's a significant difference, and obviously you can't get them mixed up with one plug going into another. One needs a big round hole, the other one needs 3 pins. So here we have the transformer. This transformer is one that you use probably around domestic properties. If you're a trade that's doing work on domestics, you'll still have the 3-pin plug, but what you want to do is reduce from 230 down to 110. A lot safer to work with. But you've still got the same issue. You've still got cables. So trailing cables, conditioner cables, and again, you might have extension leads. So you're gonna have to unwind that extension lead out, because obviously if you don't, you generate too much heat. So there is a bit of a con with having the cable fitted tools. And that's why a lot of people are leaning towards batteries. But again, it depends on application. Power output may vary between different models. Like we've seen, the SDS is different to the combi, but also between 2 different combis, like they've got the Milwaukee here, 2 different models, they may vary in torque. Torque is measured in Newton meters. The higher the number of torque, the more power you got behind it. There may be several considerations when buying a piece of kit or buying a drill. And one of the reasons you might go for a bigger, more powerful drill is you might need some more heavy duty work. So for instance, you've got a nice little 10.8 volt used where you don't need as much torque, or you're not doing the big jobs, which is fine. But then when you start doing the bigger works, you may struggle. So you then might need to go up for a bigger, more powerful drill. So again, as mentioned before, it depends on the type of work you're doing and the application. So things to ask yourself before you go out and buy that drill is, are you doing the big, heavy duty work? Do you need the beef behind you to get the job done? Or are you doing the light, delicate work, but still need your trusted friend to give you a hand? That sounds so wrong. Are you working outdoors, away from a power source? Are you breaking out concrete, core drilling? Are you going to be doing the smaller works, indoors, near a power source? How often and how long do you use your tool for? They say the actual use time of the drill over a lifetime is 10 minutes. Are you going to use it for 10 minutes or are you going to use it for 10 hours? So answering those questions could help you save a lot of time and money and narrow down to which type of drill suits you best. We did say we wouldn't dwell on brands in this video, so we won't. But you've got to ask yourself one thing, would you really be happy filtering with the cheapest first? Or do you stick to a well-known brand that's more reputable and professional, like Milwaukee or Makita? Don't forget, there's hidden costs when buying your tools. So you've got to ask yourself, are you going to be doing the small jobs and you use it once in a blue moon and you can get away with buying the work zone for £30 with battery, with charger, or are you going to use it more often, doing some of the varied works and the heavy duty works? So you're going to want to go and buy the Milwaukee or the Makitas. You also need to think about the packages you're buying. Trade tools cost hundreds and thousands of pounds to build up into this great big work kit. DIY tools don't necessarily cost as much. They could be a quarter of the price. That also might mean a quarter of the features and the build quality. But don't worry, we will be testing this in future videos, so don't forget to subscribe. A drill is only as good as the bit that it holds and the battery that powers it. That's why it's really important to make sure when choosing your bits and your batteries, you build it around the quality of the machine you own. You don't want to be buying a £1 bargain bit and putting it into a Milwaukee drill. It's like owning a Ferrari and putting budget tyres on it. Speak from experience, buying cheap bits means you're buying several times over. And the money you spent on those bits, you may as well bought one decent quality bit. They'll snap, they'll bend, they'll round, and it might be on the first couple of holes you drill or fix. So think about the job you're doing and buy accordingly. Think about the right bit for the right tool. And the same goes with batteries. Don't buy cheap knockoffs, buy genuine. Cheap knockoffs can be really dangerous. On a final note, and it's probably the most important, when using these bits of kit, they are dangerous, so make sure you're wearing the right PPE. They get noisy, ear defenders, yes, kick out a lot of decibels. Make sure you're wearing your safety glasses when using your combi drills. You're drilling away, bits are flying off, can go in your eye. It might be wood, it might be metal, it might be concrete. Those bits get in your eye and cause damage. So whatever tools you're using, whatever you're doing, make sure you're wearing the correct personal protective equipment and make sure you look after yourself. To summarise what we've spoken about today of the different types of drills, there's so many variables. It could be down to your project, it could be your budget, personal requirements. There's so many things you need to consider before you go out and buy your first drill. From my own experience, most drills would do the job, but it's the amount of demand you need from that drill, and that will determine which drill's right for you. Just remember, when you're looking to buy a drill, get advice, because when you enter a brand ecosystem, there's so many things you need to think about. Have you already got a Makita? Well, in that case, the Milwaukee batteries won't fit your Makita. Are you thinking about buying more tools? Is it not just the drill? Is it a circular saw? Is it a recip saw? But if you're not looking to build up the brand and get the big toolkit going, and you just want to do a bit of DIY, a supermarket tool might be fine. You'll do the drilling, do the fixing, be more than enough for you. Always remember to get advice. If you're still unsure which drill is suited to your needs, go to either Screwfix, B&Q or a trade centre and ask a professional for advice. So this has been our ultimate guide to drills. If it's helped you understand the differences, give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss any more great videos coming soon.